Hey y'all, hopefully I am live. I think I am. Alright, y'all, so today we are waiting. We're gonna see when this press conference is gonna be getting started. I think it's around 11, but basically, they are going to be doing an update on the information that they gave us on Saturday. We know they found a body as of yesterday. Police officials have told a lot of the press that I guess Kada's family did a DNA test, and according to the DNA test, it is a likelihood that the body that they did find on Saturday was Kada's. Now, if you're not familiar with the case, we can get into it. But 2 weeks ago, like I said, if you're not familiar, 2 weeks ago, 23-year-old Kada Scott disappeared while working an overnight shift at an assisted senior living facility. So, like I stated, human remains were discovered on Saturday. The remains were located behind a vacant school in the Philadelphia's Germantown area. That's a neighborhood in Philly. So, based on the press conference that was done on Saturday, the police stated that the remains that were found appeared to be those of a female. Apparently, they found it in a shallow grave in a heavily wooded area. I did go live on Saturday, so if you want to, you can go back and check that video out. It's already listed there for you. So around 11 o'clock, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, is going to be speaking more about the case. Also, they should be, or they are expected to add additional charges to Keon King. Keon King is the suspect that was arrested in sight of that. We're going to get into that. I also have a few videos that I came across on social media. I wanted to go over those as well. Kada's aunt has been very vocal on social media, so she's been talking a lot regarding the case, certain visions that she's had, and we're also going to talk about, because I think a lot of people have said in the past they know someone else could be in on everything. We're going to talk about that, watch a few clips, and yeah, y'all. The one thing I could say for a fact is because the police searched this area before, the young lady's phone, I'm sorry, not her phone, her phone case, as well as I think her debit or credit card, was found at the same location, just on a different side of the school. So according to police, they already searched this area. But my thing is, if you guys did do a thorough search, there was no way they would have missed the body. So to me, and then also a lot of people, like volunteers, were in that area searching literally the day before. So Friday, she was located Saturday. Here we go. It's about to start, y'all. We'll talk about it once this ends.
Everybody ready? We're all good. Thank you all for being here. Ordinarily, this would be our Monday press conference in which we focus on two different things. One of them being gun violence data, and another being a related special topic. That is not what we're doing today. This press conference is yielding to the needs and the wishes and the priorities of the family of Kada Scott. In the process of addressing those needs, we will be announcing that there are new charges being brought against Keon King. We'll get into the details, but the bottom line is a second case has already been approved, and we expect there to be a new arrest today, in all likelihood, of Keon King when he was brought in from the jail the arrest will be for burning of a car, arson, causing catastrophe, conspiracy, several other charges, and we'll get into the details of that in a moment. But more than anything, as I said, this is a press conference that I hope will in some way address some of the needs and wishes of the family. At this time, I'd like to identify some of the good people who are here. We have with us Philadelphia City Council member Anthony Phillips from the 9th Council District, who has been extremely heavily involved in addressing the family's needs, as have other city officials, but extremely heavily involved, including in a meeting with the family where I was also present. He will be talking about the efforts that his office is making specifically to address the family's needs when he speaks later during this conference. We have First Assistant DA Robert Listenby here, ADA Ashley Tozlowski of the DAO's Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, who is handling this matter in close communication with me and others, but is handling this matter. We'll be addressing some of the new developments in the case. ADA Bob Wainwright, who is her chief, the chief of the DAO's Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, is present. Mario Dela Cruz, who is the director of the DAO's Victim Services Unit, is here. Donna Wood, who is director of DAO's Relocation Unit, is here. We have Tania Leonard with us today, who is the director of the DAO's CARES Unit. And we have Marcus Allen. Mr. Allen is the cousin of Kada Scott on the mother's side, and he is present here on behalf of the family of Kada Scott. While he will not be reading it, he will be standing with us when a statement from the mother and father of Kada Scott is read today. That statement will also be put up on the screen so that you will have the text of it. Over the last several weeks, Mayor Sherelle Parker, the Philadelphia Police Department, the Philadelphia DA's office, elected local officials as well as faith leaders and community leaders have been showing acts of kindness, support, advocacy, prayer for Kada Scott's family. Yesterday, I had the chance to visit Kada Scott's mother, father, sister, uncle, and cousins, along with Philadelphia City Council member Anthony Phillips and some other members of our team, to speak to them, to listen to, and to access their current needs, to explore how the DAO can assist them and walk with them through this horrific and difficult journey, to express our condolences to them in person, and to offer resources through our external engagement operations, which include our Victim Services Unit and our CARES Unit. We also were there to provide the most recent update on the investigation, to answer their questions about the prosecutorial process, its details, its timing, and what they, as a family, can expect next in the criminal justice process. It was very important to me for them to get some details about the case, which is developing almost hourly from us, and not just from the media. And that is no disrespect to the media, but it's hard for a family to read and learn things about a loved one for the first time on a television screen or on social media or by reading an article. So we wanted to make sure that we conveyed to them as early as possible, as much as possible, so that they would have the information that they wanted and that they needed. During the sit down with the family, we made a commitment that today's press conference would be all about their daughter. And therefore, as I've already mentioned, there are certain things that we want to cover today. We want to cover a statement that is to be read and released to the media on behalf of the family, specifically written and approved by the mother and father of Kada Scott. We want to cover some recent developments within the investigation and prosecution of Keon King. We want to continue our request for the community's assistance, tips, and information that would help the investigation and strengthen the prosecution against defendant Keon King. Let's understand the community has already done tremendous work in aiding progress with this investigation. We are simply asking for more. And we also want to convey the upcoming effort to support the family of Kada Scott, led by City Council Member Anthony Phillips of the 9th Council District, including the use of his office for that purpose, and we will let him speak about that. I'd like to start with the family's statement. Tania Leonard, who is the director of the DAO's CARES unit, and Mariel Dela Cruz, Jessica Serrano, victim witness coordinator, will stand with Tania, is going to read that statement on behalf of the family. Standing with them, of course, will be Mr. Marcus Allen. Although he will not be speaking today, he will be here at their request and as their presence in this moment. You should know that Tania, who was present when Councilmember Phillips and I spoke to the family, will be working collaboratively with them and with our internal and external victim advocates to prioritize critical, necessary services to support the family and communities that are impacted by this horrific killing. Tania Leonard and friends.
Good morning. I'm Tania Leonard, the Director of Crisis Assistance, Response, and Engagement Unit here at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. And on behalf of the CARES Unit, I want to begin by extending our deepest care and support to the family of Kada Scott during this unimaginable, difficult time. CARES was created to stand with families who have experienced this type of tragedy and to walk beside them, help them access the support they need, and ensure they are not alone in days and weeks ahead. Yesterday evening, members of our team met with the mother and father of Kada Scott at their home alongside the district attorney to offer our continued presence, resources, and support as they navigate this profound loss. At this time, with the family's permission, we'll share a statement prepared by Kada's mother and father as we stand in solidarity with the family as a unit, as victim advocates, and as an office during this journey of grief and healing. Today, we'll say her name. Tomorrow, we'll say her name. And forever, we will say her name. It is with profound sadness that we share the tragic passing of our beloved daughter, Kada Scott. We kindly ask for space and privacy at this time as we process the heartbreaking events of the past few weeks. Our hearts are shattered, yet we are deeply grateful for the outpouring of love, support, and prayers from people across the nation and around the world. Please continue to keep us in prayer as we navigate this unimaginable loss. Our hearts are broken beyond measure. We are profoundly thankful to every person who shared Kada's story, joined the search efforts, prayed with us, and stood by our family during this devastating time. Your compassion, love, and strength have carried us when we could not carry ourselves. Kada was deeply, deeply loved. Her light, kindness, and beautiful spirit will forever remain in our hearts. We also wish to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mayor Sherelle Parker, the Philadelphia Police Department, all first responders, local volunteers, community organizations, and media outlets, as well as everyone who worked tirelessly to help find our daughter. Although the outcome is one no parent should ever have to face, we remain thankful for the unity, leadership, and love that surrounded us through it all. As we continue to grieve, our family now seeks justice for Kada. We place our full trust in the Philadelphia Police Department and the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office to ensure that the truth is revealed and that those responsible are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Please honor Kada's memory by showing kindness and care to one another, just as she did every day of her life. With love, strength, and gratitude, the family of Kada Scott.
Thank you, Tanya Leonard. Ashley Kozlowski will be, at this time, lead counsel in the prosecution of Keon King and has been working tirelessly on every aspect of the case, including obtaining a warrant that contains additional charges. Those charges include arson, causing catastrophe, conspiracy, unauthorized use of an automobile, receiving stolen property, reckless endangerment of another person, tampering with evidence. We are not done, but this is a significant development in the prosecution itself, and obviously there have been other developments already reported over the weekend in the case. It is my pleasure to call forward Ashley Kozlowski, who does about as good a job as anyone I've ever seen.
Thank you. As of last night, our office approved charges, as the DA just said, of arson, causing catastrophe, conspiracy, unauthorized use of an automobile, tampering with evidence, recklessly endangering another person, and receipt of stolen property. Those charges are in reference to the burning of a vehicle. That vehicle is a 2008 black Hyundai Accent. That vehicle first entered our radar last week. Investigators received a tip that there was a vehicle burning and that vehicle had some connection to this case. At the time last week, when investigators went to the location where the vehicle was burned, that vehicle was no longer there. It had already been towed, compacted, and was in a junkyard. This weekend, we recovered additional evidence, including video evidence that confirms that this vehicle, we believe, is the vehicle that Mr. Keon King used to move Ms. Scott. We recovered video out from near the Ada Lewis Middle School, where our search and the investigator search has been focused. There's a rec center directly next to that school. Video evidence was recovered from that rec center, and we are now able to say that this Hyundai Accent was on location at all of the times we're looking at all of the pertinent points in the investigation. That vehicle was stolen on October 3rd from the area of 6600 Sprague Street. We believe that vehicle is the vehicle that was used in this case. That vehicle was then on scene at that rec center, which ultimately, as we all know, is where we found Ms. Scott's human remains. Video evidence indicates it was on location. Video evidence then indicates it leaves the location. It is burned on October 7th. It was located at the 2300 block of 74th Avenue. When this new video evidence was uncovered this weekend, investigators from the homicide unit cross-referenced all of this information with the cell phone evidence that we had already gained and we had already been using in terms of the kidnapping case and other charges. What I can share is that the cell phone evidence, the call detail records, and timing advance data as it pertains to Keon King's mobile device puts him at all of the locations that we're talking about. It's on scene when the Hyundai Accent is there at the recreation center. It is on scene when the vehicle is burned. Based on that, last night I approved those charges, and as the DA said, we should have more information in terms of bail and a preliminary hearing date, hopefully this afternoon or certainly by tomorrow.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate those details. Just a reminder to those in the public who haven't been so helpful, I think you just heard Ashley Kozlowski talking about the fact that this burning automobile was connected to this case in part due to a tip from the public. I'm not kidding when I say that the public has played an enormous role here. I would ask residents of Philadelphia to continue reaching out with tips and information to seek justice for the family of Kada Scott and to allow us to have all the facts so we can justly and vigorously prosecute defendant Keon King and any other people who may have been involved with his activity. The Philadelphia Police Department can accept this information at 215-686-1010. TIPS, in other words, 215-686-TIPS. You could also call the DA's office at 215-686-8000, and we will make sure that your information is considered as an aspect of this investigation. It is now my pleasure to introduce Philadelphia City Council member Anthony Phillips of the 9th Council District, who has been on this, along with other city officials, to include Mayor Sherelle Parker, Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel, Council President Kenyatta Johnson, faith leaders, members of the faith community. Councilmember Phillips has been there from the start, and he has more to do. He has more to say about what it is the public can do to further assist this family. We are excited to have the opportunity to support the upcoming efforts of Councilmember Phillips in the mighty 9th Council District. And we are also delighted to continue our collaboration and partnership with him in many other ways as well. Councilmember Phillips.
Good morning. Thank you, District Attorney Krasner, for your efforts to bring this monster to justice. I'm not here to talk about the monster. I'm here to talk about Kada and the family. As District Attorney pointed out just recently, we had the opportunity to meet with the family of Kada. We had, quite some private conversation about some things that were really important to the family. And what we determined from that conversation from the family is the kindness and wonderfulness of who Kada was. And after speaking with the family, they told us some things that could be helpful to them. And so myself and our office has decided that we're going to try to support them in their efforts to help them with their needs. But before I begin, I just want to make this announcement. I just want to say that Kada Scott mattered. Her life matters. She was a kind woman. She, as the family has pointed out, Kada was kind. She was kind in how she helped support the elderly at her work. She was kind to her friends. She was kind to her family. Her school teachers that she had, high school principals talked about her. Her college administrators and staff and professors have spoken about her. They talked about her contagious joy and smile and wonderfulness. And so we're reminded that, tragedy strikes here in Philadelphia, and nothing can cease the pain that this family is going through. But what we can do as a city, and what we've been doing for the past several weeks as a city, is showing our kindness to this family. Because Kada is someone who could have been our sister, our cousin, just someone that is a friend or family member in our lives. That decency is something that we know throughout our lives, and it could have been anybody, any one of us. So I want you to know that because of that, Philadelphia cares, and because the family has asked for us to show kindness, to leave her legacy of kindness in a way that is shown and demonstrated. Today, our office has the intentions to open up a collection effort starting tomorrow with our office to collect gifts and items for Kada's family. Some of the items the 9th District Office is accepting for the Scott family during this difficult time includes self-care items, toiletries, comfort and relaxation products, gift cards such as meal delivery services or general gift cards such as a Visa gift card or other store-related gift cards. For food, non-perishable food items, these gifts are intended for Kada's mother, father, and high school age sister, a young woman. The high school age sister is a young woman who continues to show incredible strength as she strives to prepare for college amid such heartbreak. We want her to know that her entire community stands behind her and cheering her on. So, If donations can be dropped off at our office, City Councilmember Anthony Phillips' office on Wadsworth Avenue, located at 1514 Wadsworth Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19150. Our office is going to be open from 8:30 to 4:30, Tuesday through Friday, starting this week. We will have special Saturday hours on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Where people can send their donations, bring their donations as well. If you have any questions, please call our office at 215-686-3454. This is an opportunity, again, for the city of Philadelphia to reflect the kindness. Again, I want to say this is an opportunity for the city of Philadelphia to reflect the kindness that Kada has shared. And we've already done that by helping promote and get the level of justice that she needs. But now let's show the family that we're not only there for them in that tragic moment, but we're going to be there for them after. So please make sure that we get as many donations as possible to 1514 Wadsworth Avenue, October 21st to the 25th. Our office is open 8:30 to 4:30 from Tuesday through Friday. And this Saturday, we're going to be open from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Again, self-care items, gift cards, and food and non-perishable items. Also want to remind folks that we did opportunity to speak to the family. And one of the things that the family did note to us, which was really important, is that they did say in their statement, respect their privacy. So that's why we're collecting the donations at our office, and we're going to be delivering it to them at a location that they want to be delivered to. But I want you to also know that they don't want people knocking on their doors, including members of the press, because it's traumatizing for them right now. You know, it's really traumatizing for them right now. And so we would like for folks to just hang off, members of the press to hang off for now from knocking on their doors, because that's what the family has desired. And I just, we want to make sure that we respect their wishes. All right? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Phillips. All right, at this time we will go to questions. I would say this, as I look at this list, this is about as long a list of journalists as I've seen in quite some time. So, a couple of ground rules. Please try to confine your questions to one or two. If there's additional follow-up, we can try to address that later, just so we can give everyone their opportunity. Number two, these questions I'm going to ask you out of respect for the family who are present here should be on the topic of today's press conference, please. And that's not the first time I've requested it. I'm sure that you understand why. And to the extent that you can confine them to the topics we are addressing today, please understand this is an ever-evolving, developing situation, both in terms of investigation and prosecution. There are things that we know today that we cannot tell you. And we cannot tell you for a variety of reasons. The integrity of the investigation, safety, the trauma that the family is dealing with is not best handled by their finding things out for the first time in the media. So we will try to be as transparent and open as we can, consistent with those obligations and consistent with the purpose of this press conference, which is to respect the family's needs and wishes. Channel 3 CBS, I see Joe Holden and Josh Sanders.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Riley's office, Mr. Grasner. First, can you give us any more information about the tip that leads police back to Ada Lewis? Secondly, how does she really meet Keon King, if you know? And then third, have there been any conversations about how King is out again after multiple, are you retraining people in your staff?
All right, so that's three questions. Let me address the third one. We are always trying to do better. We have already acknowledged, and I'll acknowledge again, we could have done better with respect to one or more of the decisions that were made in a case that was otherwise handled well. And we are looking at a variety of different options that I think are appropriate for the lessons that we have learned in this case. As for your other two questions, I'm going to ask Ashley Tozlowski to come forward to answer them for you.
So in terms of your first question about the tip, what I can share is that obviously initially we received a tip to go to a meeting last week. We received a tip to go to the Ada Lewis Middle School. Investigators went, did a thorough search. Essentially what The new tip was this weekend was go back. It was go back, she's there, look again, and they did give more specific details in terms of where to look. And ultimately, that is what led us to her.
Text, email, you say how?
I'm not going to say how. Obviously, we are investigating the tip, and we'll continue to do that, but the tip was more specific than the first. It was very specific to go back, and it was more specific in terms of where to look, and that is what the police did. And I'm sorry, your second question was?
How do they know each other?
I'm still not going to comment on that. It's something that is actively being investigated. Obviously, they knew each other to some extent. We believe in terms of maybe there was some cell phone communication, obviously. But other than that, I'm not going to comment in terms of how they know each other. That's something that's still, or where they met or how long they knew each other, because that is something that's still being investigated.
Channel 6 ABC, Tarhunda Thomas. Did I pronounce? My apologies.
Can I follow up with my colleague real quick? Just two follow-up.
You're Channel 3 CBS as well. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Of course, yeah.
Just two follow-up questions. You mentioned lessons learned. I wonder if you could get into specifics of those lessons that your office has learned from this. And my second question is this tipster have any relationship with
All right. So we're now getting into 5 questions from one station, but let me see what I can do for you. All right. I'm not going to get into all of the specifics, other than to say that we have already discussed in this office the value that we have seen for certain kinds of cases in specialization. It's something that we have done before in changing the way things have been done literally for decades in this office. I'll leave my comment on that point there. Your second question again, sir?
Are they related to Keon King?
When you say the tipster, you're speaking of the tipster for
The
the...
person who followed up with the tip said go back and gave more details and specifics. Is this a family member of Keon King or someone related to Keon King?
I think I know what the answer is going to be, but let me check with Ashley Tuslowski. Well, the answer is a little different than I expected. The answer is we don't know, and we are investigating it at this time. All right. Taronda, I apologize for mispronouncing.
I want to make sure a point of clarification. Has the medical examiner officially confirmed that this is Kada Scott made a positive identification? And then my second question is, going back to the case in January related to this, who withdrew the charges? Was it something that the PA's office did, the judge? And that clarification.
So as for your first question, it has been confirmed that these are the human remains of Kada Scott, and that has been confirmed by DNA. I believe that's also been reported. There was some erroneous reporting that it was quick DNA. It was actually not quick DNA, it was the regular DNA. So that is resolved. And I'm sorry, your second question?
The second question was about the withdrawal of the charges with the January case. Who decided to withdraw those cases? Was it something done by the judge, the attorney's office? And just as it relates to the witness not showing up, would it have been sufficient if that witness, for instance, gave a statement to police that was on video? Was that something that was there and not able to be used?
So Ms. Thomas, this is something we addressed previously. I'll go over it again in summary form. But this is a situation in which there were actually 2 witnesses. There was a complainant, there was an eyewitness. There were good efforts to have the case prepared, to contact them, to speak to them. There were good efforts to subpoena them. Nothing is perfect in this life, but that was all handled well. The case was marked must be tried by a judge at the first listing when these witnesses did not appear. Neither one of them appeared for either one of these 2 listings. That is a judicial decision. It is not our decision. And then on the second occasion, when these 2 witnesses did not appear again, the attorney who was handling this case was faced with having the case either thrown out or withdrawn. There are certain strategic reasons why it can be better to have it withdrawn. But understand, when a judge of a particular level, and here it's the municipal court, rules that this is a must-be-tried case, that, under the laws that exist, requires the second judge to throw it out if the case is not ready to be tried. As we have indicated before, I do believe that there is a way this could have been presented without those witnesses. The buck stops here. That is on me. that it was not handled in that fashion. But I also believe, as I've said before, that it's a tough situation, especially in domestic cases, when you have a defendant out of custody who's going to come in and out of the courthouse doors just like those witnesses. All right, Channel 10, Telemundo, Isabel Sanchez.
Sorry to be this, but I'll ask you in Spanish. Si nos puede hablar de estos nuevos cargos que presentan el día de hoy contra Keon, por favor.
Tenemos cargos nuevos. En este caso, tienen que ver con lo que pasó con un automóvil. Quemaron el automóvil. Is that the right word? Okay. I saw those eyes. I thought I got it wrong. Let me try it again. Tenemos cargos nuevos, en este caso, sobre quemar un automóvil. Esos cargos van a incluir el cargo de arson, también de auto theft, receiving stolen property, causing a catastrophe. Son las palabras en inglés que tienen que ver con lo que hizo este defendiente en cuanto al automóvil que él usó para llevar a la víctima.
My second question would be, ¿se podrían esperar más cargos a medida que esta investigación continúa?
Okay, English and Spanish.
I just asked if we can expect more charges coming up soon in regards to this investigation.
I have reason to believe that there will be additional charges that will be coming. Exactly when is unclear, and it may be two different groups of additional charges. But yes, we expect there to be new charges. En español, yo creo que vamos a tener más cargos. En este caso, posiblemente en dos grupos, no puedo decir precisamente cuándo, pero van a venir en este caso. Thank you. Channel 10 NBC, Aaron Baskerville.
A lot of questions have been asked that I want to ask, but I got two because oftentimes you said the second case has been approved logistically. Is that a different case, or is that the other charges you're talking about, or is there a whole other case or another person that you're looking at? When you say second case, or did somebody, a victim, come forward? What does that mean, second case?
When I say a second case today here, what I'm talking about is that this arson of this automobile is a second case. Please remember that these events didn't all happen in a 30-minute period of time. These happen on different days, in different places. They involve different activity. You know, the theft of a car, the burning of a car is different than a kidnapping, for example. So what is happening today is the initiation of a second case that will not only require a second set of charges and arrest, for which the defendant is going to be brought down from custody. It'll require a second bail hearing. Some of the process may occur at the same time in terms of the prosecution itself, because it's part of a larger story. But what we are announcing today in and of itself is a second case. Could there be additional cases if there are other victims who come forward? Yes, there could be additional cases if there are other victims who come forward. There could be additional cases as more evidence develops and we have probable cause to bring more charges for things that happened over this period of a few weeks.
Nobody else stepped forward so far. Another victim or anything like that.
I'm not going to comment on that at this time.
My second question is kind of more of the timeline. So just in my head, there's a lot of information. October 3rd, the car is stolen. We believe Mr. King stole that car, and then obviously she disappears October 4th. Then October 7th, the car is found burned and I guess towed away. At the rec center, is the car after it's stolen, or October 4th, is that the car that's used? We believe that Kada is in with Mr. King and they're at the rec center. When are they at the rec center? In between that October 3rd, when the car is stolen, and October 7th, when the car is found burned and destroyed?
Well, I think you raise a very good point that the timeline is a little bit complex and confusing. And especially if you're talking about more than one car being used in more than one place, it's probably helpful to go through that timeline. So I'm going to ask Ashley Tislowski to come forward. And even though, we've been talking about this so quickly that we sometimes don't slow down to identify exactly what place, exactly what car, I'm going to ask Ashley as best as she can to explain this as if she were explaining to people who didn't know anything about it.
So in terms of the timeline, you pretty much got it accurate, meaning the car was stolen on October 3rd. Obviously, Ms. Scott goes missing the next day. That vehicle then, we believe, immediately goes to the rec center. We believe it remains there for about a day and a half until it then leaves and the car is burned. In terms of what the video showed or what we know about what happened there, I'm not going to comment on. I think there will be an appropriate time for those details to come out, and that appropriate time would be at the preliminary hearing when all of the evidence is presented. But in terms of a timeline, you had it right. October 3rd, the vehicle goes missing. October 4th, she goes missing. We then pick up the vehicle at that location where it remains for about a day and a half. It then leaves and is burned the next day on October 7th.
Mr. King stole that car, did somebody else steal that car? I have to get just immediate.
I don't want to comment about what I believe happened. All I can say at this point is what the evidence that we have, and what I can say is the evidence that we have is that Mr. King's phone is on location when that vehicle's at the rec center, and it's on location when the car is burned. That is what we know right now.
It was on location when it was stolen?
We have it in the area, but we do not have it on location. That's not to say he wasn't there. All we can do is look at the cell phone evidence that we have in terms of when calls are being made and when data can be plotted, if that makes sense.
All right, let me see. Channel 17, John Leonard. Do you have any questions, sir? Thank you. 29 Fox, Kelly Rule.
I think actually someone answered this, but the video evidence from the rec center, are you able to say if that shows anybody working with King? Or can you comment on, additional suspects?
Well, let me just note this, and then once again I'll bring Ashley up. But you may have noticed that we're charging conspiracy with reference to the arson. Now that's a separate place and time, but we don't bring charges unless we have probable cause. Let me now ask Ashley to come forward.
My answer is essentially going to be the same thing, right? I mean, obviously we did charge conspiracy, so at this point we do have reason to believe that other people may have been involved after the fact, but in terms of who those people are and the level of their involvement, I'm not going to comment at this time. It's very much still being investigated.
And you mentioned that the car was towed and impounded. Is it believed that King had anything to do with that, or that was just the community making calls saying like it was car?
There was a 911 call that a vehicle was on fire. So police did respond to it. The fire department responded to it, ruled it an arson, and at that point, when they were finished with their investigation, the car was demolished. It was burned, so it was taken and towed and compacted and yeah.
Demolished before they could pull evidence from the car.
Yes. Well, and I'll say, when we got there, it was completely compacted, right? What the tow company had already done, or what the junkyard had done, had already been done. With that being said, the car had been completely burned. And in terms of being able to tell what happened, the fire department was able to say it was an arson, and we're also able to have video to kind of piece things together. So there's no question about what happened. We were able to determine that.
Thank you. All right, let me see. Kristen Johansson, KYW.
Two questions. One's for Ashley. How does the car play in the gold Camry play in then to this whole? Because we're going to have to say something about the gold car.
Yes, so what I can say at this time is that at the point where the Hyundai Accent is on scene, on video at the rec center leading up to, all of the events we're talking about, the other car, the Toyota, is there as well, and we believe the people in these vehicles are working together.
And then the other thing is how much, as far as volumes, of how much surveillance video is it? Because I know there was a lot of identifications. Yeah. So how much, it's hard probably to quantify, but.
We have extensive amounts of video information at this point, and it's still being retrieved as we speak. And I expect there will be more. It is a lot of video. What I can say is that, initially when the video was recovered, they were reviewing it kind of in real time as it was being recovered, and that's the information I'm basing this all off of today. There will be more, and there is more, and the detectives will continue to go through all of the video. It's a lot of video.
And then for District Attorney Larry President, there's obviously been a lot of criticism of your office and how your office handled this case, but then also additionally how bail was handled in general. What can you do to ensure, or I guess ensure the public, or there's probably a better word there, I ensure the public that there's not another Kada Scott that's going to come out, that there's not going to be another kind of case like this where case is withdrawn, it's violence against women, case withdrawn, bail was not, appealed immediately. It seems that you're putting the blame on the judges for that. How can you ensure that there's not going to be another Kada Scott?
Well, actually, I think it was pretty clear that I wasn't putting the blame on the judges. I think I was pretty clear that I was blaming the existence of cash bail. And systemically, we all have to try to do better. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania should stop making money off of bail. And they should go to a system that is much more effective, one where truly dangerous people remain in custody. And that has worked for more than 3 decades in D.C. And that is about 12% of defendants. And where the rest of those defendants are not required to pay money, because for the most part, they face much less serious charges, and the only reason they're in jail is because they're broke. The bail system is broke. That should be fixed. That was not a criticism of individual judges. That was a criticism of that system. What I can tell you is that the buck stops here. We recognize that there are some things that could have been done better in this case. From the moment this occurred, we have been looking at ways that we can improve our systems, because we have to be open to systemic change as well, and we will have further announcements about that in the future.
So have you done any policy reviews or looked at anything? Anything specific that you can tell the public about?
We are actively looking at ways that we can do better. It's everybody's view of this is always clear when you're looking back and you have fuller knowledge. Nobody's view is quite as clear, whether it's a judge setting bail or it's a prosecutor making a decision. Nobody's view is quite as clear earlier. We need to try to change that. We need to try to find ways to be better at making sure that there are as few errors as possible and that there is as much protection as possible, especially in the current environment women face. Jesse Bunch, Philadelphia Inquirer.
So this is also about how prosecutors handle King's prior cases. We're seeing a warrant was signed on King's second case, the kidnapping charge, on January 19th. King will be arrested and charged for that several months later. But in February, King would have had to appear in court for that first assault case from December. So I'm asking, why wasn't King taken into custody in February at the CJC if he had that open warrant out for him for the kidnapping charge?
I have to admit, I lost track somewhere in the middle there, and I don't say that to be in any way dismissive. Can you just say that again, please, so I can make sure that Ashley and I hear your points?
So for King's case in February, for the charges from December, in between then, there was a second case open against him, the kidnapping charges in January. There would have been an open warrant when he appeared in court in February for a different case, at least in my understanding. So we're just wondering why then was he not arrested and charged until April?
Let me see if I can help you with that.
All right.
So what I was just sharing with the DA was, in front of me, I don't have the date that warrant was actually dropped against Mr. King. I don't know if you have that or if you're just assuming that there was a warrant at the time, because I know he wasn't arrested until closer to April, and I believe the warrant was closer to that, but again, I don't have the date that warrant came through, meaning I can't stand here and say that warrant was active at the time he appeared. I don't have that in front of me.
We saw January 19th.
I'm not saying you're wrong, I just don't have it in front of me. In terms of when the warrant came through, I don't know. But obviously, once he was arrested, bail was set at that time.
All right, let me see. Tom McDonald, WHYY.
I know you don't have a specific timetable, but in similar cases like this, where there's a homicide in question, how long does it usually take for the results from the autopsy to move forward so you can charge?
I think that's a great question. I'm just trying to, consistent with our need to protect certain information and provide certain information, I'm just trying to figure out how much we can say to answer that. If you don't mind, I'm going to huddle up with Bob Wainwright and with Ashley Tezlowski and see what we can say.
All right, to answer your question, how long does it typically take? It typically takes a short amount of time when the incident happens and the body is found immediately afterwards. Cases like this, it may take longer. So there's really no exact answer to that. And what we all know is that Kada Scott's human remains were found 2 weeks after she went missing. So it is not, there's no, what I can tell you also is that the medical examiner's office is actively working on this, and we're waiting on a cause and manner of death, and we should have that information as soon as possible.
But you're preparing homicide charges.
I think that's a fair statement.
All right, let me see. Sherry Stone, Philadelphia Tribune.
I guess it's too early to understand the manner of death. Like, were there, did the shooter, hit him in the head? We don't know that yet.
What I can say is we are not in a position to convey that information at this time. There is a very serious forensic effort here to get it right, and we don't want to get ahead of that, but as soon as, consistent with the family's needs and wishes, as soon as we are able to confirm precisely the answer to that question, it will be communicated either in a courtroom or in terms of press availability, once again, in consultation with the family. Jack Tomchuk from the Metro.
Kind of following up on Tom's question, I guess, I think the reason why I think, why a murder charge is wrong is that just waiting for the medical examiner or because, you said it remains to be confirmed DNA.
Well, I will say this, I am confident that homicide charges will be brought, but I also have an obligation to follow the law and uphold the Constitution. And that means we don't take shortcuts. We don't make assumptions. We confirm all the facts before we figure out the legal conclusion to be drawn. So we will be proceeding with homicide charges when we can very precisely confirm everything we need for probable cause, and we will do so as quickly as we can once we have confirmed what we need to establish probable cause for that particular charge. All right, Mr. Dean from The Trace.
I guess you blame the bail system on the local for the previous case that fell through a Keon. Then in the second breath you said,
Right.
Practically speaking, is that for you? What are the consequences when the ball stopped?
Well, let me just be clear. I mean, blame is a word people seem to like. I have not been a fan of cash bail from the beginning because I think it endangers the public. I have spoken about this going back almost 7 years, and I am aware of the reasons that it continues to exist in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They're not wonderful, let me put it that way. That is a truth. I hold that truth. And I think it would be a great advance if this state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, would get away from cash bail and go in the direction of no cash bail, where some people, no matter what their resources, are going to be held because they're a danger. I wish we would go that way. So I do hold that truth, but I also hold the truth that we can do better, that we should try to do better every day, that even though many decisions, many aspects of the preparation of this case were solid, that there were other aspects of the preparation of this case where we could do better. So I say the buck stops here because in an office of 650 people, it is my responsibility. If there is an attorney who makes a decision, and if that decision is not the best one that could have been made. Yes, sir.
Well, your critics will say this is exactly what we've been talking about for the last years, very grassroots. Bumbles cases, criminals at the revolving door. There's office with criminals coming in and going out back on the street. This is exactly what they're talking about. And you're running for re-election for third term. Should this be, should this be on the ballot? Should people consider that how this case was handled when they go into vote on November 4th?
Well, your question is fundamentally political, and I'm not allowed to answer political questions using city resources. It's an ethical violation, so I will respectfully pass on that question. Dan Horan from Philly FPV. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
One question. You guys stated that the car was there for about a day and a half in between the elementary school and the rec center. Does King's mobile phone data show that he was also on that location for that duration of time?
Let me bring up the expert here.
So again, I'm not going to go into specifics about what occurred during that time. However, what I could tell you at pertinent points in the video where we believe he was there, his cell phone evidence also puts him there. So it's not the entire time, but at the pertinent points where we're looking for him to be there, his cell phone puts him there, if that helps.
Thank you.
Michaela Althouse, Philly Voice.
So charges against that, as you said, have been refiled. It is listed for its kind of first preliminary hearing listing after the refile on November 4th.
Mr. Cipriano, big trial.
Mr. President, 4 years ago, when you were running for re-election, your office failed to prosecute the domestic abuser and eventual murderer of a Hispanic mother,
Mr. Cipriano, questions are about this press conference, not about your wandering view of the planet. Do you have a question that goes to the subject matter here?
And here we are 4 years later, and you and your inexperienced team of quote superstars that you repeatedly bragged about, comparing them to Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. By their incompetence, inexperience, or ideology blows observed residents are directly responsible for the death of a promising black female, Kada Scott. How many domestic violence murders does the city have to endure, sir? How many more grieving families will have to go through the same type of tragedy before doing it? You're a failed civil rights lawyer, not a prosecutor.
Sir, putting aside your wildly disrespectful approach to what's happening here, your complete absence of kindness and compassion, which is exactly what is contained in this request from the family. Putting that aside, I would bring you back to this. Please honor Kada's memory by showing kindness and care to one another, just as she did every day of her life. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I've got a second question, sir. You took 5 from CBS. Where you go? Hey, Larry, you have to wake up at 3:30. You said some of these male magistrates don't want to be woken up. At 3:37 in the afternoon, who'd you have to wake up?
Oh, it got messy. It got messy. Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't even know what to say at this point because they just cut it off. Clearly they're failing the woman in the city. Like, where's the tax dollars going to? I'm not trying to pass any blame either, but somebody dropped the ball. He should have never been out on bail. If he was not out on bail, this is likely to not have happened to this young lady. Like, I mean, regardless of if this wasn't the time or the place for that reporter to even make those statements, he's right. How many more grieving families have to go through this? It's ridiculous. Like, he was able, if y'all listened, they said the car, it seemed like it was planned. Whatever Keon King planned to do, it was premeditated. The car was stolen October 3rd. Stolen October 3rd. Why did he steal the car? And that's the same car they're stating that was used to move Kada Scott's body. That black Hyundai that was reportedly set on fire. That was used, that was stolen on October 3rd. She went missing October 4th. You tell me that's not premeditation. Let's be clear here. And then the fact that it was set on fire, and how that, I think it's a gold car. I might be wrong, because there was another car that they stated, I think it was like either a gold or a silver vehicle. They're saying that that's why they know someone else was involved, because that car was on the scene of where the black Hyundai was burned. So clearly he had help. So he might have drove the black Hyundai to that rec center. I think they said it was either in the back, or I can't remember where it was on the rec center, but the fire started at the rec center. So he drove there, and whoever was in that gold car was behind him. And then once they set the vehicle on fire, he got a ride in that other car. Premeditated. He had help, y'all. He had help. And like I stated, that reporter was right. How many more people? I mean, the DA can be angry and upset all he want, but his office clearly dropped the ball. Why weren't those charges pursued? Why did y'all allow him to get out of jail? Now they're saying, well, we are filing more charges and he'll be arrested again for the previous incident. Okay, great. But it's over now, because this young lady is gone. She's gone, and y'all, the city of Philadelphia did nothing to protect her. Let's be clear. And I do fear that it's starting to become a witch hunt, right? It's a shame to her legacy, to her family. This whole thing is a shame. It's sad. My thing is, Kada is just one of many young ladies in that city. When it comes down to it, whether you want to blame the judge, the bail system, the DA, whoever you want to blame, it doesn't matter. The system needs to be changed regardless. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do, because this is her aunt, so what I want to do is get into this video, because the aunt has said previously, you could tell there's multiple people involved. We're going to listen to her, and then I'm going to get into a video or a response from a young lady by the name of, I think her name is Gabby. She's been getting a lot of heat regarding this, because a lot of people feels like Gabby not necessarily involved, but she was close with Keon, and according to what everybody is saying on social media, like I said, take that with a grain of salt, because social media should not be used as daggone news, but it is. But apparently, days before Kada went missing, Keon reached out to Gabby, asking questions about Kada. That's why I said a lot of this has to be premeditated. With him stealing the car, with him asking questions, reaching out, asking people about Kada. What was he planning? You know what I mean? But let's get into it.
Gabby is best friends with Keon. Keon is the perp. Gabby's best friends with him. So everybody's like, Breezy, he was right. It was a light skin girl vibe, because what happened was, when I see my vision, it's two girls. They have on blue t-shirts. And one is light skinned, high yellow, with two braids in her head. And she looks at me, and it's a little girl. She's not a light as her, but she was in the light. She's like my complexion. So she turns her head. So I'm like, they was demonic though. So I'm like, why is she looking at? Why is they looking at me like this? But this is a vision, like right here. So I've been saying this a long time as well. And then next thing you know, Gabby comes up.
Now, Gabby is the girl that they went down Southwest Philadelphia to the house because of Kada phone pinged in the park. Once it pinged in the park, it pinged to Southwest Philadelphia. So the house that they pinged it to was where Gabriella was at. So Gabriella said she didn't know Kada. Then she lied and said she did know Kada because she was getting pressured. So next thing you know, the phone was pinged back. Oh, fuck, another download just came. She was pinged back. Thank you, Spirit. I love you, Spirit. I swear I love my tribe and my ancestors for what they do. All right, so that was a moment. So whatever the case is, she was pinged back to the phone in the area of Ada Lewis School. It was pinged back to Ada Lewis School based upon that's where they originally was at when she showed me that she was there. So when that call said help, she was letting me know I was close. She was letting me know, like, you here, Breezy, Aunt Breezy, whatever the fuck you want to say. All right, baby, I'm sorry. It was like she was here. So next thing you know, after that happened, everybody was like, we need to go to the, certain places. So as I'm watching the news, I'm like, wait, white van. I'm like, that go the white truck I was talking about. His car, the gray car was sitting across the street, and that go the white truck. Somebody found his Instagram, same car before it got crashed up. So we know it's him. Moving along, not to bounce all over the place. So Gabby is best friends with him. Now, it was a little girl on TikTok that everybody brought to my attention when she was talking about him and how she knew him. Now, her best friend is the girl who gave me the info. And she lied to me because she didn't know. She told me she didn't know him before. But apparently the girl was on there talking about Kada, how she walks her dog and, things like that. And they, all above. So that's stalker. That's a stalker. I said, she was jealous. I said, she was having fucking Keon. I said, and she knew what Keon was about to do to Kada. Because Keon asked her, because Keon asked her, where do Kada live at? Where does she work at? And all the above. Now, he knew Kada already. It's not a mystery he didn't know Kada. He definitely knows Kada. I want y'all to understand, it was never that he was a stranger to Kada. He knew Kada. He knew who Kada was as a person. Kada knew him as a person. But it was not supposed to go to this level because Kada was not in a relationship with him. She was in a relationship with somebody else. Please, you was not getting up here. She was in a relationship with somebody else. So with that being said, as she was in a relationship with somebody else, let me get the downloads because I don't want to be all over the place. And my downloads, that's what they do. All right, so earlier we was talking about it. The girl that gave me the jewels, she told her best friend that was talking about Kada on live, she needs to call the police and tell the police what she knows. The girl was like, I'm not telling anybody anything. So apparently the girl said that Keon told Gabby that what he did with Kada, and don't tell nobody where Kada was. Me asking about where Kada at and where she lived at and where she worked at, because Kim didn't play that nobody knowing where she lived at. So that's how I know for a fact he didn't know where she lived at. So the girl told, and Gabby promised not to say nothing about what he did to Kada. So
Alright, y'all, so I'm gonna pause her there. The video is almost done anyway. So this right here is Gabby, allegedly, child. She said, that's Gabby, so we gonna call her by Gabby. So Gabby decided to go live because everybody took to their social media telling her she needs to go talk to the police. Get off of social media and go talk to the police. Apparently what is being alleged is that Keon told her, well, first of all, days before Kada went missing, he reached out to her asking her questions about Kada. Then after Keon did what he did, he told Gabby what he did to Kada. Alright, so that's what is being alleged. We gonna let her get into it. Let me start.
Hi, my name is Gabby, and I'm going to be discussing some of the misinformations that are going around in the internet regarding me and the Kada Scott situation. So if you are unaware, Kada Scott is a girl that went missing in Philadelphia on October 4th. So I did know Keon. He was my friend. I met him about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was also the local pharmacist. Now, me and my best friend, we were also mutual friends with Keon. He was our pharmacist.
She keeps saying pharmacist, y'all. We already know what he was. Like, he wasn't no daggone pharmacist. He was out there dealing. If y'all understand what I'm trying to say, okay.
And I am in school. I am in Maryland, and he will usually just call me, just to check up and talk. So he calls me and he asks me if I know Kada. And I'm like, yeah, I know Kada. And he's like, oh yeah, I noticed that she lives really close to you. I'm like, yeah, like she lived right in the back of me. And I'm not thinking nothing of it because he usually calls me and, we just be chatting. He'll call me about like, the people that be around because he is the pharmacist. I live in the neighborhood and he be in my neighborhood. So we hang up the phone and that was that. We were only on the phone for 29 seconds. So you can see that this is the day that he called me and this was before Kada went missing. And we were only on the phone for 29 seconds. Also, I know that his name says Elliot in my phone. That's just what we call him. So a couple of days after that, my best friend calls me and, we're just talking about life. And I mentioned to her how Keon brought up Kada to me. I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm like, oh yeah, like he was probably trying to flirt with her. He's probably trying to get at her. Mind you, me and my best friend, we know Kada because we grew up with her little sister. Now, we didn't know Kada personally because, again, we grew up with her little sister. We were around 12, 11 years old. Kada, she was much older than us, so we didn't really talk to her. So my best friend was like, oh yeah, like he probably thought she was cute, and that was that. So right here is the day that I called my best friend and told her that, Keon was trying to get at Kada. This is before she went missing. So a couple days, maybe a week after that, it is reported on October 4th that Kada is missing. So keep in mind, I am in Maryland, so I'm not really into all the Philadelphia news that be going on. So I'm not knowing that Kada is missing until my best friend sends me a text and says that Kada is missing. So this is the day that my best friend tells me that Kada is missing on October 9th. So I'm in my friend's dorm and I call Keon and it's a lot of music and a lot going on in the background. So I go somewhere that's quiet and I tell him, Keon, Kada is missing. Like that girl, she's missing. So he was like, what? And then after that, the phone just hung up. So here you can see that I called Keon and we were on the phone for 2 minutes. So you have to keep in mind, this was my friend, okay? I did not think that he could be capable of anything like this. In my head, I'm just thinking, there's no way in the world he could have did something like this. There's no way in the world. So then a couple of days after that, my mom sends me a screenshot of Keon turning himself in for the kidnapping of Kada. So this is my mom sending me the article, and she was distraught to say the least. And I know she said that he was a random person, but she says this about all of my friends. So me and my best friend, we get on the phone, and we're talking about the situation. We're just saying how this is just crazy. This is the call of me and her talking about it. Now, this is all happening around the time that I'm taking my midterms. So I'm really just trying to keep my head on the books. And I wasn't really trying to let this stress me out. So I kind of just let it go. He turned himself in. It's not really much to say or do anymore. So a couple days after that, me and my best friend get on the phone. And we're basically just, talking about the Kada situation. And she says that she thinks that I should call the cops. So she was basically saying that she thinks that I should call the cops and tell them that Keon was, asking about Kada. Now, at the time in my head, I'm thinking that there was no reason to call the cops. He already turned himself in, and I felt like it would be kind of a waste of time to tell them that the guy that they already have in custody, called me and was asking about the girl. And me personally, I'm not a cop caller. Like I don't call the cops. That's just the way that I grew up. That's what I was around. They will always tell me, you don't call the cops. So I just felt like, the information that I had and the fact that, I'm just not really a cop caller, it wouldn't make sense for me to call the cops. So then my best friend tells me, well, if you won't call the cops and tell them, then I will. And then she basically tells me that she doesn't want to be friends with me anymore because I won't call the cops. And I told her, that's completely fine. I just don't want any involvement. So then we hung up the phone, and then I believe she called me again with the police on the other line. So you can see, I told her, I'm sorry, I'm not talking to the cops. And yeah. Now, I can see how this could be cruel, and I do take accountability for that. So then, a couple of days later after that, I get sent a link on Instagram. And the link was basically my best friend going live, just talking about the situation, saying how I was weird for not going to the cops. And people in the comments were just coming up with their own narratives about the story.
It's her saying that she's not a cop caller for me What do you mean? You stated, even though you weren't close with her, you knew her or you knew of her because you guys knew her sister. Why wouldn't you want to do the right thing unless you have something to hide? According to you, he called you prior to her go missing, prior to her going missing, to ask you about her. Why wouldn't you think that's something that the police would need to know? It's clearly showing that he was planning something, that it was premeditated, that she didn't just hop in the car with him and something, maybe an argument ensued between them. That he was clearly planning on it by him stealing the car, by him reaching out to people. Hey, Kato, do you know where she lived, where she go to school? Clearly he was planning something. Why didn't you think the police needed to hear that? And then for her talking about that's just how she was raised. She don't call the cops. What if it was you that went missing? I don't get it, y'all. But let's let her continue.
And it just got way out of hand and it just spiraled. So you can see somebody sent me the link of the live, and still to this day, I have not watched the full entire live. Then people just started asking, who is Gabby? What's the connection? And, she told people that I was in Maryland for school, and it was just a whole entire thing. So, of course, I was angry and I was confused because what is going on? So I text her, I tell her that, that was weird. And yeah. Then I started seeing posts of people saying that they think that I set Kada up and that why wouldn't I go to the cops and that I was just suspicious and all of this stuff. And this was never the case. So I do end up contacting the authorities after I seen people just making up crazy stuff about me and the situation. They cut me off. They tell me that they already know what's going on, that they have a close eye on the social media. And they also tell me that my friend did come forth with the information, and they told her that there was nothing that they can do, that the information that she brought them was useless information because they already had Keon in custody, and it was just nothing for them to do with this information. They told me to contact them only if I had anything that could lead to finding Kada, because that is their main priority. Now, I do believe that the person in the live was just kind of taking what I told her and running with it and just spicing it up to make it seem like something that it wasn't for, I don't know, maybe views. People were saying that, she was walking around and showing what stores Kada would go to, where she would walk her dog, and just stuff like that. I also had one of our mutual friends come to me, and he told me that she told him that we knew Kada our whole lives and we grew up with her, which wasn't the case because we grew up with her little sister. Now, I do think that the person in the live was taking what I told them and kind of just running with it and spicing it up to make it seem like it was way bigger than what it was. And I basically think this because I had a mutual friend that came to me and said that she came to them and told them that we knew Kada our whole life and that we grew up with Kada, when that wasn't the case. We grew up with her little sister. My prayers go out to Kada and her family, and I hope that she can make a safe return home.
I hate to say it, but I don't believe anything she's saying. I believe what she said, that he called her days prior. But my thing is, clearly he knew Kada as well. They were communicating. If she didn't want him to have her address or her whereabouts, why did you think it was okay to say, oh yeah, she lived right behind me, we live close to each other? Why did you feel like that was okay to share? It's just weird. And then after she said that, after her mom told her what happened with Kada, she then reached out to him to let him know. Let him know for what? I could be wrong. Clearly, she hasn't been arrested. According to her, her friend is the first one that went out and spoke to the cops. I think that was a good idea. That's what she should have did in the first place. Hey, he reached out to me on such and such a date, and then she went missing on the 4th. I know it might seem like something small, but it could make a difference in the grand scheme of things. Clearly, this young man was plotting on this girl, right? everybody keeps saying, oh, she went out there to buy something from, she was buying from him, all that stuff. No, it was something more sinister. And it's just sad, like, for a lot of these young adults, they talking about I don't believe in calling the cops. I'm not no cop caller. But if it was you, your family member, or your friend that went missing, y'all would want people to reach out to the cops on y'all behalf. So if you knew her or you knew of her, why didn't y'all feel like it was okay to, or if it was cool to contact the police? You had information that could have helped. It didn't make no sense. And she's talking about all these conspiracy theories. No, it's not theories. Your own ex-best friend came out here and called you out because she felt like what you was doing was wrong by not going to the cops. And I fear she's right. Y'all, this whole situation is crazy just from what we learned during the press conference. And then you got her aunt going on live talking about demons and the spirits talking to her. And it's a whole lot of. And that's why sometimes you can get lost in this rabbit hole. Like when you looking into these cases, it's really like getting lost in a rabbit hole. As of right now, according to the DA, he has the kidnapping charges, but they have just added conspiracy, reckless endangerment, tampering with evidence, and then he also has an arson charge. And hopefully he will have some type of homicide charges added to that as well. We don't have any information back from the ME yet regarding anything, so we don't know the cause or manner of her death. So hopefully maybe sometime this week we'll find that out. I'm still on the fact that he stole that black Hyundai. That car was stolen on October 3rd. She went missing October 4th. He was planning this. And I feel like whoever that was there with him when he burnt that other car, I think it was a gold car, whoever that was there with him, I feel like they are the ones that dumped the body on Saturday. Because the body was not there Friday. And I know that because I was in the aunt's live, Instagram live, when they were all out there. They searched inside that school, the back of that school. They searched the entire abandoned building. She even said they was in the basement. Because for some reason, they swear they heard her. Kada's, like I said before, the aunt is like a psychic medium. That's what she claims to be. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just telling y'all what she's saying. But they said they heard someone said, help me. So they went and searched the entire area. So you mean to tell me that they didn't find anything, but somehow there was some type of anonymous tip that said, no, y'all need to go back, search the area again, she's there. And then they went back Saturday and found her. And according to the police, it was a freshly digged grave. So whoever did it, it had to have happened overnight, maybe on Thursday, probably not Friday, but either early Saturday morning or late Friday night. Because there was just people out there at the abandoned school in Germantown searching for that girl. So how is it that the cops just went there and found her Saturday? Either the cops didn't look properly the first time, which I don't think that was the case because they were out there with the cadaver dogs. I don't think that was the case at all. I think the body was dumped either, like I said, either early Saturday morning or late Friday night. Regarding the anonymous tipster, now that I don't understand because they were saying that could it be a family member? According to the DA, they can't release any of that information. It's given that they don't know. They don't know. And that's what's clear. But hopefully we find out some more information this week, y'all. This situation is crazy. This entire case is nuts. And like I said earlier, regardless of how, because the DA, he was upset and they walked out on a press conference, he was getting some questions that was asked that felt very political and he didn't know how to handle it. So they walked out on the press conference when that one reporter was asking him, y'all have not been handling these cases correctly. How many more young women, how many more families have to be grieving until y'all get y'all crap together? He got mad and he left. But I feel like that's a valid question to ask. That's very valid. You know what I mean? I'm from Philly. I got family members that live in Philly. And watching this whole situation play out is sad. Because it's like the city just getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and there's no accountability. Yeah, the cops doing their best, but what happens when the police officers, the detectives, all the investigators, what happens when they finish their job? And now it's sent over to the judges and the DA. What happens then? Like, my thing is, this first case happened in earlier this year. We can blame the bail system, we can blame the judge, but my thing is, it doesn't matter if a victim doesn't show up for court. Y'all can still try the case. They can be subpoenaed and forced to come in. Like, you just, oh, well, they didn't show up. So what does that mean? You don't pursue it? It's crazy. Like, the city is nuts right now. And like I said, somebody dropped the ball. We can all place blame, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen differently to make the situation kind of turn around? So it's not another Kada. It's not another mom on the news crying, talking about her missing child. I don't know. I'm going to wrap the video up, y'all, because I've been on here for over an hour, almost 30 minutes. So I'm going to end the live. If anything else comes out, we'll go back and we'll talk about it. But thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next